Good morning. Great to be back with you folks. We did a few last year and, well, they didn't run me off, so I'm back. So thank you, and thank you for listening. I'd like to start off and tell you a story about a lady that I kind of just heard this. This is a secondhand story. My daddy told me this. It happened, I think, when he was a boy, or maybe even earlier than that, but there was an old lady that lived in the community, and I say old, probably wasn't really that old, not as old as I am, but old. People thought of her as old because she was so mean. Her name was Annie Reasonable. Her husband's name was Walter. She was quite a large lady, over 6 feet tall, big, strong woman, very high-tempered. She didn't like anybody, especially she didn't like Walter. Walter was a little bitty man, very quiet. Most people said he was quiet because he didn't get a chance to talk. Annie did all the talking. But everyone, no matter how bad they are, what their faults are, they have a redeeming quality of some kind. Annie could make the best apple pies in the world. She had every kind of an apple tree you could think of growing there around her house. And she could make apple pies, be it a deep dish pie, with the crust on top and all, or fried pies, or about any other kind of apple dessert that you could think of. Annie could make it better than anybody. Apple butter, apple jelly, whatever. If it had to do with apples, Annie Reasonable could do it better than anyone. She had a habit, she used a lot of bad language, and she really would give Walter a good cussing, she'd call it. I'll give you a good cussing. And she did, quite often. Walter just kind of ducked his head and didn't say much. One day Annie was sitting under the tree there in the yard, peeling apples, getting ready to make some pies. Cut off a little piece of apple there and put it in her mouth. Well, she got choked on it. And you've been choked, most of you have. You try to bring it up or get it to go down or something, and it just stays there. Well, Walter came in from the field. Here's Annie laying in the yard. She wasn't breathing. Here's a little pan of apples that had turned over when she'd fallen out of her chair. So he unhitches his mule from the plow, gets on the mule and rides down the road and tells some of the neighbors, Annie's dead. She died there in the yard. I don't know what happened, but she's dead. So the neighbors all come in. This is back before we took people to the funeral home when they passed away, and they came in. The ladies all got together and they took her inside the house and washed her, cleaned her up, put on her best dress and everything. While they were doing that, men folk got down at the barn, and one of them brought some lumber, and they made a coffin for Annie. And a couple more of them went up on the hill. They asked Walter where was a good place. Well, up behind the house, sir. And they dug a grave. Okay. They go and talk to the preacher. Well, he would come since Annie was dead. He didn't want to come if Annie was living because she had already given him a good cussing several times, and he just didn't want any more of that. But so he agrees to come the next day, and they have the funeral. Walter's not said anything all this time. He's got a little chair there by the front door of the house on the front porch, and he sits in that chair. And they ask him, do you want the funeral at morning or afternoon? Well, either one will be all right. Well, we brought food, Walter. Would you come in and eat something? Oh, I might after a while. I'm not hungry. Walter just pretty much didn't participate in anything, but people got things together and they got all ready. The preacher came. They had the funeral there in the living room. Walter moved his chair over closer to the door where he could hear, but he didn't go in. When the funeral was over, they've appointed 6 pallbearers, and they picked the coffin up. Well, it used to be a custom. Nowadays, I've been a pallbearer several times over the years. You carry the casket by the handle down. Well, those box coffins didn't have handles on them. They would pick them up and set them up on their shoulders. Short man always got a free ride because he didn't have to bear any of the weight, you know. But I wouldn't have fit in good at that because I was always the tall man, so I'd been carrying more weight. But they come out. Well, now, sometime before that, the steps down from the front porch, the plank had come off. Annie told Walter to fix that, but he hadn't got around to it. Men come out carrying the coffin up on their shoulders, and they start down the steps. So this front man foot goes down through that hole where that plank's missing, and he falls. Well, if you've ever had an accident where several people's carrying something, one man falls, everybody goes down. Sure enough, the whole 6 of them fell. The coffin went sliding down through here and landed on its top end, flipped over up against a tree. Annie fell out, all this banging around, knocked that piece of apple loose in her throat. She really was breathing just a little bit. They just couldn't tell it. She come alive there and throwed the awfulest fit these people ever heard. What's going on here? And Walter, what are you doing sitting up there on that porch in clean clothes? You need to be in the field doing something. Now, what are y'all all doing here? Messing up my house, eating my food. And everybody cleared out pretty quick. Well, time rocked on, you know. Annie lived another 8 or 10 years after that. Still just cussing and raring. Everything wrong. Well, mailman come one day and Annie didn't like something about the package he delivered or the mail he delivered or something. And she had a cussing fit. Right in the middle of it, she had a massive stroke. There's no doctor there to see to her or anything. She died in just a few minutes. The mailman walked out into the field and got Walter's attention, got him to come to the house. And he told him, said, Annie was giving me a cussing and she fell dead there. Walter said, well, it don't surprise me. The fact that she's giving you a cussing or that she fell dead, either one. So they spread the news around, people come in. Once again, they clean Annie up, put that same dress back on her. Men get that coffin, they just set it up overhead down in the barn. Put a little something over where chickens wouldn't roost on it or anything, and bring it back to the house. And they put Annie in it. Go get the preacher. He hadn't been out there since that last funeral, but he's willing to come back if she's really dead this time. So Walter gets in his little chair there by the door, and it's about the same thing it was before, you know. Walter, what time of the day would you like to have you? Whatever's convenient for everybody will be all right with me. Well, would you come in and eat something? I'm not very hungry right now, maybe later. Same story all over again. Well, they have the funeral, and sure enough, Walter inclines one ear over toward the door where he can hear what's being said. They pick that coffin up and they start out, and just as they get to the edge of the porch, ready to step down there, he speaks. He says, hey fellas, watch that top step there, would you? He didn't want to take a chance on her coming back again. And that's my Apple Annie story.